What's up, y'all? It's your host, SZA, aka back again with another episode. I'm not here with my co-host, but I'm with one of the greatest Minnesota musical talents we've heard in a long time. From producer to arranger to flying across the world to perform, he's one of them ones. We got David Smith.
Yo.
So excited. I have not linked it with you in so long.
Right.
How have you been, bro? What's been new with you?
Man, a lot has happened. I'm still doing what I'm doing with the everything in the live music programming space. I've had the opportunity to just continue building my resume.
Mm-hmm.
I've had two opportunities to be able to be featured on TV shows now. Like I did the outro for Lotto's, was it the Billboard Awards performance back in 2023, and I recently arranged Shaboozey's BET Awards performance last summer with Denard Watson. So that was a really cool opportunity as far as TV. And then I also just went on my first tour in September in London with Punjabi superstar Karan Aujla.
What else was funny?
Yeah, that was really cool.
I looked him up, and I forget how big Indian artists are in context to everybody in the world.
Yeah,
just hundreds of million views here, hundreds of million views there.
But if you don't have Indian friends or really know anything about the scene, you may not find it. So I think it's really cool what he's doing. And he just released a song with One Republic and Ryan Tedder. So it's just he's really trying to get himself into the mainstream and introduce himself to the rest of the world. So I think it's great that he's reaching far more than just his core Indian audience.
That's fire. Before we really get into the nitty gritty, how did you get into this? How did you get into the music scene just to begin with? And was it a start in the church then branched out, or how was it that you really started to integrate this into your life?
Yeah. I started, my parents introduced music to me at a very young age. I started out with the drums, as a lot of musicians, that grow up in church do. And then eventually was introduced to the piano, and I wanted to play the organ. So I started doing that. I got lessons for the organ and piano when I was about 9, 10. And then around that time is when I started actually being the main organist and pianist at my church. So I was getting reps in every week playing in front of people.
Okay, yeah.
So it's if you're not in church, the only time you're probably playing in front of people is at a recital after you've practiced, the same song for weeks on end. I was learning the song a couple days before.
Oh, wow.
And then having to play it sometimes the day before, because we would have rehearsals on Saturdays, right? And have to play it dang near perfect the next day.
Yeah. You don't get no recuts. You don't get none of that.
Exactly. So you just have to leave it all out there. And then, throughout high school was when I kind of got my start in just producing and experimenting with, using computers to make music and using technology, connecting the keyboard to the computer to be able to create stuff and produce everything.
But before we get there, so when you were in the church, is that kind of where you learned stage presence? Because one of the things I've noticed, especially with a lot of artists nowadays, when it comes to having a church background, you could really tell that in their performances, because like I was saying before, you don't really get a chance to mess up and bring it back. Is it kind of helped you in memorizing lines and being able to just perform on?
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Because the thing is, it's with my church, I grew up in Black Pentecostal church, so you never know when they're gonna throw out a song that you haven't played in a couple years. So you just always have to be ready for anything at any moment. Otherwise, you're gonna mess up the entire flow of whatever the worship leader or whoever is singing or whoever has the mic is gonna do.
Was that always difficult, especially as a pastor's kid?
Oh yeah, definitely tough. There's definitely a little bit more pressure with that being the case, but also not as much, because it's just I'm not gonna get fired. So
that is true. You will not go home,
unless I do something absolutely terrible, which I haven't done, thank God. So yeah.
How is that? Because I want to talk more so about your religious background and story coming up to it before we really get into when you started really blowing up.
Yeah.
One of the things I've noticed, especially when it comes to PK kids, since they don't get a chance to be outside that much, all of their enjoyment and camaraderie does come from the church. Does it feel like it helped you, especially deepening with your own faith?
Yeah, I would say so. It's definitely kept me grounded, and it's kept me away from what I could have turned into.
For sure.
You know, because like I feel like it's given me an outlet to express myself through something that's good. You know, like music is a wonderful thing. It's a beautiful gift. It's a gift from God. It allows me to be creative, and I feel like, you know, even once I got to college and I was on my own, I mean, I was never really much of a partier or anything like that, but once I got there, it gave me something to do, so that way I wouldn't get caught up in any sort of situation with anybody or at a party or whatever. So, you know, it just kind of gave me something to do and to like look forward to.
And when you're also in church, what was more difficult? Playing the piano, playing the drums, playing the organ? What was like the thing?
Well, I would say I don't know. It wasn't super difficult. I think the thing that's the most difficult is dealing with other people.
Okay.
Because you know, coming up as a kid, it's like all the other musicians and stuff are people that have been there for years, and so it can create a weird dynamic when you're kind of leading everyone, but you may not be in a leadership position.
Oh, okay.
Right. So like, there's times where I would come with like the song learned and everything. I know exactly how it goes. I know how the drums part goes. I know how the bass part goes. I know how everybody is supposed to play the song. And then we'll get to rehearsal and be like, okay, here's how we play it. And then one of the other musicians would be like, hey, you know, that's not how it goes. It goes like, and I'm just like, no, it goes like this. I have to replay it a couple of times. So it's like sometimes, you know, dealing with those different personalities can get a little tough, but eventually it usually ends up working out.
It irons itself out.
Yeah.
And then when you step away, I won't say step away from the church, but more so start working on different types of music.
Yeah.
Is there a pride to making music as in and of itself? Like what a lot of artists I've talked with, it kind of boils down with trying to be an artist. You have to have such an unsanctimoniously amount of confidence inside of yourself to be able to tell yourself, hey, this music is good. And then when other people try and tell you, no, change this part of your music, you have to be like, no, I'm keeping this music because I think it's good. Right. Do you still have that type of pride and just confidence amongst yourself when it comes to producing and arranging and things of that nature?
I think sometimes I do. You know, there's times where I'll make something and I'll be like, yo, like this is top notch. This is top quality. But then again, it's like I'm also in a different position from, you know, most artists, because usually I'm doing the work for the artist rather than like being the artist. Okay. So it's like I'll maybe play something for somebody and I'll be like, oh, this is super amazing. And they'll be like, it's all right. And then like go to the next beat or something. So it's like there's moments like that where you kind of get humbled a little bit, because it's not that, you know, what I create is bad per se, but it just may not be that person's preference. And so that's the other thing I realize is like what I make isn't going to be for everybody. Like for example, like my girlfriend, right? Like I'll make something and it sounds really good to me. It has like all these really crazy, you know, hits and everything, but like that's not her style. So So it was funny. I was just showing her something yesterday. She was like, you know, it's not like my style, but like it sounds like you. So I was just like, I appreciate that. Like, hey, she recognizes that I have a particular sound that I like to create, and whenever I'm doing like live arrangements or remixes and stuff. So
what is that sound?
My sound?
Yeah. What is your specific sound?
Man, it's like a blend of a lot of influences. Like, of course, one really big influence to me is Prince, Jimmy Jam, Terry Lewis, all the Minneapolis legends. They've had a huge influence. Mint Condition, Stokely, they've all had a huge influence on my overall sound, as far as like synths and just making stuff feel good and be funky and everything, right? And then I also have a lot of influence from other like music directors and live music programmers like Adam Blackstone, Kyrie Tyler, Beyonce's MD. There's so many different people like T-Von. I'm just throwing out names that a lot of people, you know, in your audience may not have heard of, but yeah, like those are the guys that are behind the scenes running the show, like all your favorite live shows. They're programming every single part of the show, so that way the lights people can program everything that they need to. All the dancers can do everything.
How does it work? Like, Is it kind of like when you're a showrunner, you have to decide how every part leads into each other?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
So it's like let's say you have like an A-list artist, right? They usually have like a team behind them. So they have like a music director, like lighting, you know, they have a sound team, whatever. So usually everything, you have to remember, like at the core of these performances, these artists, these tours, everything, it all boils back to the music. So it's like it's got to start there. Like usually what will happen is, I mean, it's not the same case for everyone, but this is like a general explanation. So usually it starts out with like the music director, and they'll be like, all right, they'll talk with the artist, figure out like a set list, figure out how they want everything to flow, and then from there, either they'll do it themselves or, you know, outsource other people to do it. But they'll outsource people to do like what's called music programming, as I've been talking about, which is like the live arrangements aspect. So for people that don't know what that is, essentially it's taking a song and making a live version of it for like a band, or for a band that would be playing at a concert, or just for, you know, just to enhance the live experience.
Is there, how important is it? Like, one of the things that I've noticed, people don't really understand what's producers, arrangers, things of that. What's another one? Oh my God! Especially like when it's live, arrangers, and what's the other word?
Programmer.
Thank you. Programmers. Yes, they don't know many of them. Is there a reason for that? Like why it's not as flashy and people don't want to become them?
Well, it's because it's something that a lot of people don't know about because they're not getting credit for it.
Oh,
so it's something that doesn't always show up on the credits because it's something that's being done like for a tour. So like you won't see their name in the credits for the song because, you know, they didn't do any actual work on that song. They just made the live enhanced version of it for that artist's tour or
for
whatever,
the event.
Right. And usually you don't get like a credit or anything.
There's
no award shows for tours. Right. So that's definitely something I've heard some peers of mine like talk about and discuss about, because it's just like, okay, I've done all this work, and it's like a lot of outsource work like what I'm doing, but it's tougher to like prove that you've done it because it's like there's no written thing that said, oh, hey, I did this with this artist. Because it's like I always feel like somebody's gonna think I'm lying whenever I'm saying I'm doing this, because it sounds like a niche thing, and it sounds like it's something that could be made up. It's like, no, like I'm doing this for real. Like it's part of the reason I'm able to do music full time at 24 in Minnesota of all places. You know. So
how has that been, especially growing up around here, trying to be a musician and not even to mention a producer and things of that nature? And not even, I was about to mention this earlier, I feel like the only one that just started becoming like mainstream and famous is a guy like Metro Boomin, where he's been like actively been a 1 and a 2 punch with a lot of like famous rappers like 21 and Kendrick and things of that nature. Do you think it's a benefit that he's becoming more out there, more?
Yeah, definitely, because I think producers know music best.
Okay.
You know, at the end of the day, it's like a lot of your favorite artists have a great producer behind them. Like Michael Jackson had Quincy Jones. Michael Jackson would not have been the Michael Jackson that we know of today without Quincy Jones's mastermind. You know what I mean? Like Michael Jackson, he would have still been super talented, but like we wouldn't have had the quality albums that we would have.
Do you want to know what's funny? There. I was literally just listening to Shaboozey's Tipsy song. Literally, it's just playing on regular TV. It feels like the whole room is surrounded with the song. And if you don't have that element, I don't think that song goes as absolutely bonkers as it did. Because the average individual doesn't know what's happening. They just know that they like that's all they have to it.
Even with the cool thing with that song, because that was the song I got to do for his performance at the BET Awards. So I actually, so when you like arrange or program a song, in a lot of situations, you'll get the actual like individual track pieces from that song. So I have like the guitars, all the drums, everything, so that way I can do or whatever I need and have whatever I need to use for this live production. Like if I want to take out like the drums or the acoustic guitar at some point, I can turn that off or bring it back in.
Change the type of guitar it's in there.
So like it was cool to like just hear the sonics and how they just put everything together. So I just love that aspect of, you know, just arranging, because you just get to dive deeper into the song. And it's real cool. So
how many lines is that song?
Like, what do you mean?
Like how many, like when you're producing it, there's a specific drum, there's specific guitar, specific vocal.
Yeah, I mean, with that one, all these parts are called stems, right?
Yeah.
So there's a difference between like stems and multi-tracks. So multi-tracks would be like all the lines that you're talking about, like every individual drum, every individual guitar, every single thing. Stems, it's like you'll have like a drums group, you have a guitar group, so it's like more groups. So rather than getting like all the tracks, I got like 10 groups of stuff. But those things can, as you add in layers to, you know, add more depth to everything, like they can get up to 50, 70, 100 tracks on a thing. Like even with just the music programming stuff, like even the stuff that I'm adding will end up being like 100 tracks or so, because you're adding in all these cinematic sound and effects and everything, all the different melody sounds, layers, you know, synths and pads and everything, just to make everything sound full. So, and
the thing that kind of gets me like so confused, especially when it comes to producing, I was watching a lot of interviews before this, and there's a couple producers that has been having the same tracks for the past 50 years amounts of just hardware from 1980 till now, and they haven't lost nothing. It's literally just a hard drive of all the individual files. I'm just like, that's crazy. So yeah, no, that's wild. How diligent you have to be, and you start noticing a lot of songs. Not that they're similar, but they all come from the same web in a sense.
Yeah. Like a lot of people are using the same like drums, the same you know, synths and whatever. Especially drums. I feel like drums get reused the most often, but that's always been the case. Like, you know, in the 80s you had drum machines that came out, and you only had so many, you know, drum machines and stuff. So it's like everybody was using the same kind of sound. So it's like whenever new technology gets introduced, you start to, you know, get new sounds and stuff. But even right now, a lot of people are using this website called Splice.
Okay, yeah.
So essentially what Splice is a website where you can get like drums or like even melodic samples and stuff. So for example, one of Sabrina Carpenter's songs was built off of a melodic loop off of Splice, where it had like the guitars and everything already in it, and the producer just had to add like drums and everything, and then the song was pretty much done.
Oh wow.
So it's just like there's a little bit of controversy, because it's just like, okay, did he really produce it?
Yeah.
You know, so.
Is that cheating because he wouldn't just got these presets
exactly
put in?
So
okay, yeah.
For me personally, I like to try to be as original as I possibly can, and so the only time I'll go out to Splice is usually for, you know, just drums in general, or if there's something that I can't do myself, like play a guitar, or if there's like a realistic sounding drum loop that I want to use, but like I don't have a studio at home where I can just record drums, you know.
Do you notice, specifically for you, when someone is using a track versus them actually going and getting a drum and just
it depends on the song. Because like, you know, a lot of times drums can just be like playing the same thing the whole time.
Okay, yeah.
I feel like it's more noticeable if it's like a melody or something, because sometimes I'll hear a song and I'll be like, oh wait, I've heard that melody on Splice before. Or like or it'd be the other way around. Like I'll hear a song and be like, oh man, this is a cool song, super killing, right? And then I'll go on Splice later and I'll hear the same exact melody loop that I'm like, oh, they got it from Splice. And I'm like a little disappointed, because I'm like, dang. But, you know.
Wow. Okay, so thinking about just being able to hear music, you have perfect pitch. Can you explain to people what that means?
So think of a piano, right? So piano, you have all your notes. You know, you start on C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, right, for a full octave. And then you have all your black keys, you know, all the flats and sharps. So essentially what I'm able to do is I can hear any note, sound, car horn, train horn, anything, and I can pick apart or I can tell you what note it is.
Okay.
Right? So like just hum, like give me like a random note. So that would be a C. That's a C on the piano. That's a B. That's like an A flat.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah. When did you notice you had that?
So I realized I had it. I should have taken out my phone and like matched the notes so people could know that I'm actually telling the truth. But because because I could have totally just been saying random.
That's true. That's true.
But sorry, what did you just say? Oh, how did I know? Yeah,
how did you learn it?
So I realized it kind of, there was a couple phases that my ears kind of went through. Mm-hmm. So it was like this beginning phase when I was like a kid learning how to play the piano. I grouped a lot of the sharps and flats, like the black keys. Mm-hmm. I kind of identified them as F because they kind of have like a warmer like characteristic to them. Okay. And then I would assign a lot of the other white keys, I would just kind of like hear them as G. Mm-hmm. So like anytime I'd hear D, E, B, A, I would just kind of assume it was G because of there's like a certain sonic profile that the natural keys have versus the flats and sharps. Mm-hmm, right. Mm-hmm. Then over time, as I was playing at church, a lot of times we would do songs in D flat because the person that came before me couldn't play in a lot of keys, right? So a lot of times everybody would just end up singing, doing songs in D flat. So eventually I just recognized what that sounded like, and I slowly kind of made my way to other keys. I figured out all the flat ones first because, you know, in black church we love our black keys, right? So I figured out all those first, and then when I would hear like a note or something, I would have to find the closest like black key in my head, and then hear what it is to be able to tell.
Is that kind of how you make an earworm? Like, are you able to make earworms?
Earworms? What's that?
Like basically make songs that get stuck in people's head.
Oh, I think that more so has to deal with like melody. Okay. You know what I'm saying? Like you can.
What's an example? I'm not that musically versed.
So yeah, like a melody is like the main notes of the song. Okay. Right. So like, give me like the catchiest song you can think of.
My president's black, my Lambo's blue. Have Gucci Mane's black president?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So with that, it's like that melody, like that repetition of those notes is like what's getting it stuck in your head. Oh, you know what I mean? So it's just like, or if you hear like a lullaby or something. Okay, yeah. Okay, like, yeah. Na 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 na. It's like that could be stuck in your head.
Is that kind of how pop songs really gets?
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Because it's just like, you know, it's a melody that's easy to sing. Exactly. Boy's a liar. Yep. So like it's stuff like that. It just gets stuck in your head because it's easy to sing. You don't have to, you know, sing circles around people. Yeah. So, you know, I feel like that's kind of. Is there a way
to get good at making melodies?
Yeah, you just do it a bunch of times.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. But is there like a thing that you noticed when it comes?
Oh, when it is good? You know, I think it's when it resonates with yourself. Okay. I think that's the most important thing. Like, there's times I'll make something and I'll be like, it's not that. And then I eventually get it to the right thing. I'm like, that's the one. And then it resonates with me. And then I play it for other people and it resonates with them. That's how you kind of know when it's just like, when you enjoy it. Because a lot of people, they'll try to make stuff for other people. But I think it's important to make stuff for yourself as well.
Yeah, you gotta at least enjoy it.
But also, to a certain extent, make it palatable for other people. Okay, yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, because I guess it depends on whatever genre. Like jazz, you can do whatever the heck you want. Right? Yeah. But like if you're working in the pop space or even the rap space, because you know rap is starting to sound a little bit more like pop these days, depending on the artist. You know, like Drake, for example. It's like there's certain things you got to take out in order to make this song really resonate with people. Okay. So like it's kind of like a less is more. Okay. You know thing. But,
okay. Yeah. Interesting. So do people really get overwhelmed with a lot of music?
I think they can. Yeah. Okay. Because like kind of even to that situation with my girlfriend earlier, I was like, because I made something that was really extravagant, real. Like it's something that's really for the musicians to hear, right? Not for like the regular non-musician people to hear, right? So it's just like to them it might be like, oh, okay, you know, this is cool. There's a lot of stuff going on, but like you know, they can't really vibe with it or dance. But yeah, it's important to simplify things sometimes. Yeah.
Let's rewind back to being from Minnesota. How would you produce for a Minnesota artist?
I mean, it depends. So it depends on what
would you try and like sway them towards? Let's say they're rap. Let's say it's rap, like hardcore rap.
like, I mean, here's the thing with Minnesota rap, I think. Like, me personally, I haven't really identified or seen like a Minnesota sound come from here in terms of rap, because I feel like we get a lot of our influence from all around the country. So it's like you have people here that will do drill. You have people here that would do like melodic rap. Like there's so many different avenues that people could go for. So like I would try to do something that's familiar but still take them out of their comfort zone a little bit, so that way they're trying something a little different rather than just what everybody else is doing. So I think it's really cool when people have their own like unique flavor. That's
actually really interesting, because of like if you go from like Mac to Mati and then try and swerve over to like Humo, it's all the same like in this area, but they're so vastly different.
Exactly.
Where there hasn't been such a dominant force where everyone else is trying to sound like this. Right. And kind of a way I could frame this, kind of like in Atlanta, what an Atlanta sound sounds
what West Coast sounds like. You know what New York sounds like. You know what Chicago's going to sound like. So I think then the question arises, like, how do you build that sound? It's like, I feel like you have to have like 1, 2, 3 artists that sound somewhat kind of similar, and then a lot of people imitating what they're doing in order to get like that sound. And it also plays in part with producers too, because producers play a huge part in creating that sound. Like you think Atlanta sound, you're thinking Metro Boomin, you're thinking like Zaytoven, like West Coast, you're thinking like Dr. Dre, all the older head guys, New York, right? But
are producers just naturally older?
No, producers come in all shapes, sizes, and ages.
Interesting.
Like you could be in the studio, the youngest person there is a producer.
Okay, yeah.
But you could also be an older producer. I feel like,
is it a thing like you start getting money like later on in the career type of thing? Like it's harder to find a producer?
Like, are you saying like as an artist or just in general?
So when you think of like the stereotypical like rapper, you have like ages from 23 to like 26.
Yeah.
And then when you think about like a producer right now, like for example Killer Mike, there's a bunch of like 40 to 60 year olds.
Well, those are like more like hip hop head people too. It's like you have that's generally going to be a little bit more older. But like even with but like the younger generation, it's like there's so much access to music technology now that you're having people like 10, 12, 13 getting placements on like NBA YoungBoy albums and stuff. Shit. You know what I'm saying? So, anybody can be a producer these days with the technology that's available.
How do you price beats?
Ooh, that's a fun
because
question.
I've heard stories where people have sold them for like $50,000, but then I've also seen people that are trying to give them away.
So there's like different situations.
Yeah.
So you have what's called now like beat leasing.
Okay.
Right, and then you also have like exclusive sales, and then you also have like stuff where you're working with like record labels and things like that. So like there's different price. Like you're not gonna sell like let's say your exclusive price for beats is like $300, $400. Meaning exclusive meaning, hey, once you buy this, no other artist can buy it or have it or whatever. Right. So then somebody says, hey, I got this artist coming in. I work with like Atlantic Records or something. I got this rapper, blah, blah, blah. He's blowing up. And it's like, okay, when it's something like that, you got to charge a bit more.
Yeah, because they have the money to spend.
Exactly. Yeah, like they have a record label that's backing. Yeah. So it's like you're not going to charge Future your $300 rate.
Yeah, of course. Because they're gonna get it placed in a movie.
Exactly. Yeah. So it really depends on the situation. And then like I was saying with beat leasing earlier, so that's basically like okay, like let's say you're not getting a bunch of streams. Okay. Essentially, right? And then you don't care about somebody else using the beat.
You just need it out there.
Exactly, yeah. So like beat leases can range from like 30 to 50, but it's like every 100,000 streams or so, then you have to renew that lease.
Oh, okay.
You see what I mean? So it's like that's the trade-off that comes with beat leasing. So it's just like with that, you might as well just get the exclusive one, so that way you have security and knowing, okay, hey, nobody else is going to use this beat. Because because people are finding beats on YouTube all the time. Yeah. Like a lot of the time, like the YouTube beats, those are like beat leasing producers.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. So like the beat on YouTube will take you to their BeatStars page or their website or whatever, and then you can buy the beat for whatever price they have it set at.
How did you get into the music industry?
I think my gateway into it was the live music programming. Okay. So, because at first I was just kind of doing it, for like friends here and there, like people locally. But then how I got my first big opportunity with the SZA thing that I talked about last time I was here was I was on Clubhouse, and that was the thing, and they had like a listening room, and
2020 was a crazy time. But continue.
They were in like a music listening room, and I saw that one of the people in there had done like live arrangements and stuff for a couple different artists. So I was like, hey, well, you know what? Let me play one of my live arrangements, because they probably haven't heard this or were expecting to hear something like this today. So I played it, and they were like, yo, this is super dope. Like, let's connect. And then, then a couple of months down the road, after doing a couple other little pieces of work here and there where they could trust my sound, they're like, hey, you want to do this opportunity for SZA? They have, you have to have it done by tonight. I was like, oh shoot, okay, yeah, sure. So I called up my homie, and then the rest was history. And then actually you can actually hear that arrangement on her Apple Music Live album, because cool. they used it all throughout like her big tour that she did, like, what was it, a year or two ago? So they actually have that on the Apple Music Live album on it was Gardens. So another thing too is like with those, when you're just like the outsourced guy, it's tough to get credit.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So that's the
you
thing.
Never even met her.
Exactly. I haven't met her. I haven't met the MD. Like the guy that I was working with was like the outsourced guy of the MD. So it's like I got to go through two different people. So like since it's up there, I'm like, man, I got to figure out how I can get credit for this, because like even it's like I already got paid, the amount that I got paid for it a minute ago. So I'm not worried about like royalties, but like just to see my name on something for like
sure.
that,
you could be able to
would
like
mean a lot.
Name drop.
Like, hey, like I'm not lying. Like I actually like I have the session on my old hard drive and everything. Like if you need proof, it's like I don't know. It's like a weird insecurity of mine where it's like I feel like I'm lying when I'm talking about the stuff that I'm doing.
Anybody that does anything for the internet has that exact same feeling.
Like, I promise you, I'm telling the truth. This is a real job. This is a real thing that people do.
I mean, I get it, because like, how many hours have you put into this?
Man, a lot, a whole lot.
Because you started playing piano at like what, 7?
Yeah, like 4 or 5.
So even younger. So it's like music has been so integral in your life that it's like, I want to show the world what I can do.
Right.
Of course. What has been your favorite part about really getting into the industry?
Ooh, my favorite part, I think, just networking and working with people that I've looked up to for a long time. Like there's times where like I'll get like a follow on Instagram from like somebody I've been watching for years, and I just get to be able to like connect with them, and now like I can like talk to them.
It makes sense to talk to them.
Like, and I can just hit them up and ask them for advice whenever. So it's like I just really love that aspect where I've kind of like leveled up, like in a way to where like I can follow like some big like producer, or not even producer, maybe like arranger or something, and they'll like hit me back and be like, oh hey, like I'd love to work, stuff like that is like it just really means a lot to see the people that have been doing it for a long time like recognize the work that I'm doing, especially coming from here. It's like nobody else is really doing what I'm doing at the level that I'm doing it at. There are a couple other people that are also doing some really great work in the arranging space that like I want to put on, like Josh Cole from Gifted Hands. Like he's also a really great piano player and programmer as well. So I think like as I level up and I get more opportunities to,
you can share
put
the
people
wealth
on, and be like, yo, hey, come do this arrangement that this person asked me to do. I'm not able to do it. Yo, take this. So that's how I got the thing for SZA. So I just want to be able to pass on what I'm doing to other people that are killing it, that are here. Because like I don't want to be that person that eventually moves away and is just like, hey, I didn't do anything for the people back home. What I mean? Like I always, like wherever I go, I'm always gonna rep the Twin Cities.
Especially since a cosign is so important for
people here. Yeah, definitely. Nobody's really gonna rock with you here until they see that they're doing stuff outside of here. Like that's something I encourage people and like artists all the time from here. Build an audience outside of the Twin Cities. Don't just try to impress people here, because that's not gonna get you super far. But also impressing people here is a really good thing, because Minnesota is a tough crowd.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Like if you're trash, like people will just stare at you. They might clap after. They might have enjoyed it, but like
even if they enjoyed it, they wouldn't even show it until it's over.
Oh yeah, that was a great show. Amazing job. So it's just like if you can get people to like move, dance, and really come out and support your shows, while you're here, like you're gonna do really well elsewhere. So it's just like I really encourage everybody. Like every artist here, build an audience outside of here, because like that's how you're gonna be able to travel to the different places.
And afford being an artist.
Exactly.
Period.
Yeah. Like because if I was only doing like local stuff, like if I didn't build connections over social media and be able to network, I wouldn't be able to do this full time. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, just have to leverage social media.
I feel it. Well, one of the questions I was gonna ask you earlier. So when Giveon performed, there was a really big mistake that everyone was like trying to was freaking out over it. So could you explain what happened?
Yeah. So, excuse me. Yeah, I made a video back on that like a couple days after that happened, because I was just like, I know exactly what happened. Let me make a video, and it got like hundreds of thousands of views, probably over 1 million total on all platforms. Somebody reposted it on Twitter, got like 700,000. It's at a whole bunch on TikTok, Instagram. But anyway, so here's what happened. So with live performances like that, artists use autotune, right? You can debate whether using autotune these days is justified or not or whatever, because there's a whole big spectacle about that. Whatever your opinions are on that, throw it out the window. He's using live autotune, right? So, and in these performances, there's a software that tells the autotune to change at the correct time that it's supposed to change at. So either that, or they have somebody like live controlling it to say, okay, hey, we're gonna change it to the different key, because autotune only works when you set it to the key that it's supposed to be set in. Okay. Right. So what happened was you had his song, I forgot what key it was in, and then but what happened was it switched to the key of the second song early. Because with my perfect pitch, right, I was able to tell that all the wrong notes he was singing were all in the key of the next song. Right. So to anyone else's ear, they might just be like, nah, he was just a bad singer, blah, 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 blah. And I'm just like if you look at him, he's visibly confused. He's like taking out his in-ear because he's probably hearing, hey, what I'm hearing my voice do before it hits the mic isn't what I'm hearing in my ears. Yeah. That's why he's looking, that's my theory behind why he's looking really confused. Like, yo, like what? Like, yo, what? But then for the rest of the performance, it's perfectly fine. It's because the auto-tune is in the key, right? So, then comes the debate. Well, if he could really sing, he wouldn't be using auto-tune. Well, hate to break it to you, a lot of your favorite singers are using auto-tune live. So it's just, it's just a thing, because like these days, everybody's camera is recording. Yeah, you gotta have a perfect performance. Yeah, because if you don't, it's gonna end up being a thing everywhere. Like Alicia Keys
mess up. Oh, right. Alicia Keys.
Yeah. Yeah. See what I mean? Like if you don't have everything perfect, everybody is gonna like be on you,
jump on your head over something like that. Okay, that's fair.
And then they corrected it in post, but it's just like, that's why they pre-record stuff for the Super Bowl and whatnot.
Fair enough. But speaking on the Super Bowl, as a producer, how would you? Because there's been a lot of talk over the Kendrick and Drake beef, all those talk, right? And I've heard all the different opinions from all the different sides of the world. What is your own opinion as a producer that actually listens to a lot of music? What music did you like more?
Like in terms of
from Kendrick and Drake, all like just tracks that was dropped off. What artist do you think performed better, at least musically?
Oh, in the beef?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Kendrick for sure.
How come?
Sure. I think like, man, I didn't think about this being asked today. Let me think. Overall, one, I do have a slight bias towards Kendrick because, like, I like Kendrick's style. I like his rhythmic. He is a living drummer. His mouth is literally a drum. The rhythms that he spits out are stuff that like not any other common person is usually able to do, like his voice inflections, everything. So just in general, like he's already a really musical individual. That just so happens to be a rapper. Right. So I feel like in this instance, he sent out the shot, after Big 3, it's just Big Me, right? And then J. Cole made the little track, or y'all know what happened. But I don't know. It's like Drake's stuff just didn't really resonate with me as much. Like, because there was that first one where it had like the AI and stuff on it. I was like, okay, what's this? I think the only good one Drake had was that I was like, okay, this one's actually decent. Was the one, I keep forgetting the name of it, but it was the one before Kendrick dropped Not Like Us. But it was like the one that got like the most streams and stuff out of all the Drakes. I can't remember the name of it. But bro, Meet the Grams, like, come on, man.
That's one of the things I've been noticing, at least on my end.
Like, as soon as I heard that sample, I was like, yeah.
I feel like people don't realize what goes into music and how difficult it is to like line it up and have it sound the way it sounds,
and even to be able to put it out that quickly.
Yeah, that's true. How long does it take to make a beat?
Depends.
Okay.
Sometimes it could be weeks. Or sometimes it could be 30 minutes.
Okay.
So it all really depends on what kind of beat it is, what type of style you're going for, or whatever mood you're in for the day. Like there's some days where I'm like, man, I want to get like 3-5 beats done today. So then you're just kind of rushing, and then it may not, at least for me, it may not sound as good because me personally, I like my stuff to be a little bit more polished. I like to take my time. It might be like an hour, 2 hours for me to like finish like a beat. So I work a little bit slower than some other producers just because of my entire process. Like I'm making everything from scratch, right? So it might take me a little bit longer, but it depends on like a trap beat that doesn't usually take as long because it doesn't have as many elements as maybe like an R&B beat where maybe I'm playing some melody line on the piano and I'm adding like different synth layers, other things to make it sound cool. Maybe I want to add a bridge or something in the R&B because we love a good R&B bridge, right?
For sure.
So,
for sure.
So it really depends on the situation. Like there's some times where I'm making like a custom made song for an artist that's tailored to whatever they've already written. So that might be a little different. Like there's some times where I need like real guitars, or I got to call in a drummer or something to put something on. So producing a song, it really just depends on the situation.
What was your life while you were traveling? While you were touring?
Oh yeah.
Like,
man.
Real quick before you get going, because of one of our guys, Chin from You Know It Films, he went out for with Ruger. And he was talking about how it was like, oh yeah, I have to get up, record this event, and by the time I get back home, I'm gonna stay in the house for 2-3 hours because of at 5 a.m. it's dropping, or I have to send it back to get a review to send it back to me, then I have to post it. So how was it, especially on your end as a producer and pianist and the whole
even speaking to that, I know on the photographer videographer side of things is definitely a lot more stressful than I think it is for the musicians. Because like even when we were on like the bus and everything, like after a show, like we would all just be, you know, chilling, hanging after the show, but all the photographers, videographers would be in the back, like editing, going through all the photos, because like the artist wants those photos like that night, so he can post all the stuff. So yeah,
concert, you know, at 9.
definitely respect the chin, because
1 in the morning.
Yeah, exactly. So respect to him, man, because that's definitely not easy to do. So I feel like for me, it was, you know, it was really cool. Our tour was structured a little bit different from a lot of other people's, because it was only 3 shows.
Okay.
Because he did like 3 shows in Toronto, and then 3 shows in London. He did like 4 or 5 shows in Australia, and then he did like 10, 13 shows in India. But it wasn't all like in a row. So for the UK run, it was like 3 shows over the course of about 1.5 weeks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So the first 2 shows were back to back. So when I got there, well, first I had to adjust to like the jet lag and everything. So that true. It was funny. Like with that, the first day, like I was cooked. Like the second day, sometime around 5 p.m., I was just like, oh, like I'm good. Okay, it was really weird. It was like all of a sudden I just wasn't tired. But yeah, then you know, then he had like the performance day, and you got to get there early. You have like lobby call. You got to be on time for your lobby call time, because that's.
Was it stressful working for him?
Not really. I think the most stressful part was everything leading up to it.
Okay, yeah.
So like, because with this situation, I didn't have any rehearsals.
Oh, okay.
Because they were already technically in the middle of the tour run, so they already have the entire set like planned out.
How did you jump in right in the middle? How did you just show up right in the middle of it?
Yeah. So basically, I'd already done like a good amount of the, you know, programming and arrangements for the show. Like I'd done like 5-6 songs. So they were like, "Hey, our keyboardist is going to be out in September because he has a baby on the way. Would you be interested in, you know, coming to Europe with us, playing at the O2 Arena and these other 2?" I was like, "Yeah, why not?" Right. So then,
quick question: like, did you have a job at the time?
No, like I've been doing music full time, so like I didn't have to worry about you know, anything. Like I did have
because one of the reasons why I bring up do you have a job at a time, because I've talked to a whole bunch of my creative friends, and they're like, "Oh, you know, I'll quit. I'll quit my job. Give me an opportunity. I'll not do it again." Yeah. But yeah, continue.
But yeah, no, I was just working in music full time, but I did have like a show, I think on like maybe the last day of the tour or whatever, but I just ended up, you know, getting a sub for it.
For sure.
So it wasn't anything crazy. But yeah, it was a really cool experience just being on like the other side of the world. In general too, because like I had never gone overseas before.
Yeah.
And then also speaking to the process before, like with no rehearsals, like I got the official confirmation that I was going 2 weeks before my flight. So like the whole time I'd been kind of like mentally preparing for it, because they had told me in like July, right? So I was like, okay, cool. They're thinking about bringing me on, sweet. And then eventually it was just more of a matter of when's the confirmation coming, so that way I can, you know, start actually preparing, so that way it'd be good. But yeah, so then the night that they said, okay, hey, we're bringing you on, they're like, you know, let us know what kind of keyboards you want and everything. So it's like with that, you can go crazy, get like crazy expensive keyboards. But I'm just like, you know, I'm gonna go with what I know, so that way I'm comfortable. I'm not up there.
Let me not ruin your set.
Exactly. So yeah, I did that, and then I spent literally like every day rehearsing for the show, but like also during that, like I had other shows that I had to practice. Like I had a show that Friday, I had another show that Monday and Tuesday that I had to also prepare for. So it's like, oh, that got into the middle of it, but even then I was still able to find time every day. Like I had to like lock my schedule in. Like I'm waking up at 9 a.m. or so and just going 9 to like 5, working 9 to 5.
Is it 9 to 5? But it's something different. No, for
exactly. You know, just practice. Well, even after 5, just like making sure I have all the songs learned. Like I had a whole rehearsal schedule. I was like, okay, I was even asking the music director, I'm like, oh, how did you guys originally practice so that way I could kind of try to make something similar? So like I made one doing like the songs that I arranged. I made another one that was like the songs that were like easy or medium level, and then another one that was like all the most difficult level. But so yeah, eventually I got all those down. The funny thing is, like a couple weeks before I got the confirmation, I had a dream that I was at the O2 Arena about to play, and I didn't learn any of the songs, and I had like a panic attack in my dream. I'm like, oh crap, right? So then when I eventually got the call, I was like, okay, I gotta like be on my stuff. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. So once I got there and I did the first show, I was like, okay, I could do this. Because like even when I was playing, it's like it's interesting. Like it didn't feel much different from like another show. It's just more people and a little bit higher stakes. So, yeah, it's like the first show was basically like my sound check for all the other shows. Because then after that, then like I know how I want my in-ear mix to sound and everything. And so, yeah, it was a really dope experience. And plus, we had like 6 off days in Birmingham.
Oh yeah,
in the UK. So like.
Just food and being outside.
Yeah, we were chilling, right? And then one of the days we went down to London. We went to a football game, right? So, yeah, it was really nice. Like I don't have any, crazy complaints about it. But like overall, my experience was cool, and so hopefully they bring me back for another thing in the future. So
sure, that's fine. That's fine. But before we get out of here, could we talk about being professional? That's a thing that we need to really get down, because of one of the things I've noticed, especially once you start rising up the ladder, the most important thing you have to always know, being professional is key.
That's a make or break for getting a call for something.
Because that's like, I was thinking about when you're like, oh yeah, no, I have to be on my P's and Q's. I'm like, well, if you were to mess up, I don't think you work with another Indian artist. Like any mainstream.
At least like mess up like really bad. Because like, when I'm playing, like first I have like little flubs here and there. But like everybody had little flubs. Because we're all human. Nobody's perfect. The show goes on. As long as you can recover and you don't mess up too much. Yeah.
Because I'm not going to know you messed up. But if it's so bad that I know you mess up, you might mess up somebody's money. And now that's...
right. Don't sabotage the show.
Bingo. And then not even talking about just like the actual performance. Let's talk about like the backstage stuff. How important is that?
Like, just be a cool person. Like, get along with people. Like, don't start fights, arguments just for the sake of it. Like, be cool. Don't overstep the music director.
Oh yeah,
like, of course, it's cool to like ask questions, maybe suggest ideas, but like, don't be like, or go to the artist first about something and be like, hey, let's do this without discussing it with the MD. Because sometimes people will do that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's a real thing. Like people will overstep and like try to get like the MD's job. They're there to like steal positions and stuff. And so it's like, you just have to have a good heart, be able to get along with people, and just like, be a people person, be cool to hang around, because like you're going to be with these people for like, in my situation, it was like a week and a half. Some people, it's 3 months. 6 month long tours that you're going to be with these people. It's just like, you have to be a professional at the end of the day. You got to be nice to the sound techs, all the, rigging people, all the backline techs. So, I feel like me being the person I am, and the background that I have, the relationship that I have with God has been able to put me in a place to where I have the personality to be able to handle a situation like that.
For sure.
Because some people, they get on the big stage, they get on the tour, and they just go wild out. Like they're after the show, they're like at the club going crazy. They're wilding out.
The artist,
exactly.
And now that's
yeah. So some people just go way too crazy with the opportunity. So that's where that foundation comes in through God, where it's just like, okay, I know what not to do, or what things to avoid while I'm out, so that way I can keep my job and get calls for more opportunities that are similar to that.
Because one of the things I've also noticed, once you've sullied your name, it's really hard for them to go back and be like, you know what, I want to bring you along again after you just showed your whole behind to the world.
Exactly. And so I think, I still have a good relationship with the team, so I think it's pretty likely that they'll bring me back for something. Sure. Their page has been posting that, or like the official Karan Aujla team is saying that they're going to be doing like a USA tour and a Europe tour. So hopefully, they they bring me in for the USA one. And I can, you know, play some arenas in my home country.
Yeah,
I think would be really cool. So,
but anything else you want to tell the people? Got anything you got to shout out? Anything of that nature?
You know, one thing I gotta say, shout out my girl, Braylon. She's really been holding it down. She's been in my corner all the time. Love you a whole bunch. Get yourself a good girl. Like, honestly, he who finds a wife finds a good thing. It's in the Bible. But yeah. Also, I want to shout out River Rock Studios. I've been working there part time since November. If you need a place to record at where you get really high quality sound, that's the spot to be. So, yeah, man.
Yeah.
Right. And shout out to you for
sure.
bringing me onto this platform once again. As I said earlier, it's been amazing to see all the different iterations of your platform, from recording in dorms to recording in the St. Thomas podcast rooms and everything to now recording at your spot. Like, this is wonderful to see. You got all your own gear, you know. So yes, it's beautiful to see all the work that you've done, all the people that you've brought on to your show. It's just been amazing to watch your growth as an individual as well.
Of course. I appreciate it. All right, y'all. Go check him out. All his contact and stuff will be down below. If a random famous artist want to take him on tour, we're here. So, yeah. Appreciate you again.
Yes, sir.
All right. And